Welcome to Better Future Production. It's the year 2021. It's a political show that comes your way. We all know that 2021, it's a heated year. It's an election year for the Gambia, a year that will mark the post-era of Jammeh. But with me in the building today, I have the face of APRC. Let me just say the man who is behind the APRC media team, Honorable Duduja. I will allow him to actually introduce himself for the benefits of those who are watching. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Brother Aliyu, and thank you for having me on Future Media. It's really an honor to be on this show to discuss issues and matters that are related to politics. My name is Duduja, as most people commonly know, and I am the deputy spokesperson of the APRC. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. My first question would be, take us through your plans ahead of the 2021 presidential elections.
Thank you once again. It's all geared towards making our bureau very active. That's where we all started. Back some time last year, people have been asking me, what is the APRC up to? I said, we're working very hard, and what we're doing, once we're done, the whole world will come to know about it. And it was the political bureau in Manjai. When that bureau definitely went into social media, people started saying, Barrow gave us 20 million. Where did we get that bureau? How did we acquire it? A lot of talks. It was like the talk of the town. And very shortly after that, we introduced to them APRC online TV, APRC online radio. All that was geared towards disseminating information worldwide. We saw that partially the media was not portraying the true image of APRC. We said, hey, why don't we do it ourselves? And besides that, there are a lot of formalities that we did at the National Bureau, training our own people about data collection, about election observer missions and the like. And we definitely focus into making sure our people have the right documents in order to be able to register as voters come 2021 elections. So these are some of the giant steps we took, in making our bureau very, very active and engaging our people, both on the side of media to get them well informed, and also to make sure that they will register with the party, like the APRC membership card is still going on. It will allow us to create a database of the party membership, and also to know how many of our people have the national documents. Those who don't have, what are the reasons? Is it financial? Is it documentation? So that will help them in order for them to get the right documents to register as voters. These are key. There are a host of other tactics and techniques that I cannot disclose in the media, because that's our weapon, what we're going to use, like campaign strategies, campaign measures, in order to be vibrant contestants come 2021 elections.
Yeah, because we've seen the APRC has won 4 elections in a row. What assurance or how confident are you that come 2021, you're actually going to win the election, or actually get together at least some percentage in the vote?
That will determine, or that will depend on the work we're doing at the moment. Like we're telling people, we're raising funds and we're doing a lot of groundwork. It's what would gauge our success in the 2021 elections. We cannot just be bragging about when we haven't done enough. We cannot brag and assure people when we don't even have the financial means. Politics, it's not only about rallies, meetings, going to nationwide tours, all that require funds. Politics is about, retaining what you have. After recruiting, registering people, you must retain what you have. Then you must work on the undecided voters. There are a lot of people who don't belong to political parties. In fact, they're in the majority, who want to be convinced with the type of candidate you will give them. What are your programs, your policies? What ideals do you have? How do you want to transform this country? If they're motivated and convinced, then they will give you their votes. So we have a lot of ways and means we're working in order to motivate them by winning their hearts, so that we'll earn their votes. All these are in the pipeline. We're working. So we cannot give assurances as of now.
So you talked about raising funds. How are you sustaining yourself since the departure of Jammeh? Because we understand that when Jammeh was here, he was actually the brain behind the sustenance of the party. So in his absence, what are you doing actually to sustain the party, and what are you coming up to launch your campaign or to fund your campaign? Because we've seen opposition leaders of certain political parties that are also doing utmost great.
Within the APRC, we believe in our motto. And our motto says unity. We're very united without doubt. Wherever we pull crowds, people could attest to that APRC is a very united party. And second, it says self-reliance. We're not dependent on people outside. We believe we can do it on our own. Or most part of what we need, we can provide for ourselves. I always say, when you have people in large numbers, you can never be poor. All you need to do is give people ownership of the party, and they will spend the dollars that they have. And that's what we always do. Any event or activity APRC has, it is the members of the party, the membership that finance it, especially those that are in the country. The diaspora are doing a lot, but those in the Gambia are taking ownership of it. You know, when we sell Asobis, they're the ones who buy it. When we sell T-shirts, they buy it. When we have activities, you know, they hire their own vehicles. When we say donate to the party, the chat groups and individuals and other CAFOs are bringing in huge sums of amount of money to support the party. So it is the people themselves doing it. And the third, we said progress from the impasse. January 2017 up to date, APRC has made a lot of progress. At a very trying time when our vehicles were seized, our account frozen, you know, the media propaganda against the party. But today we're standing on 2 feet. We're a force to be reckoned with. And like we always say, we'll be the kingmakers come the next election.
Oh, okay, it's fascinating, obviously. Can you brainstorm a little bit as to how you were able to do it within this short period of time? Because we understand that government actually froze all your accounts and sold all your vehicles. And you were saying that come December 2021, there will be some massive changes within the APRC, and we understood that a lot hasn't, that the APRC do not have the required funds to at least to sponsor your campaigns.
The biggest motivation is love for country. APRC definitely loves this country, and an APRC government did a lot for this country from diverse sectors. What we did, we feel we cannot just ignore that. We should either maintain or to make sure we build from there. There are a lot of Gambians, they will only give you the deficiencies APRC had whilst we're in government. They'll tell you the killings, the disappearances, the unlawful arrests and detentions, etc. But the positive side of it, most people don't even want to mention it. But for us, we were fortunate to witness when I was at primary school, there was no APRC. 1994 found me around grade 8, so I was not a kid. I knew what was in the country and where it uplifted this country when it comes to agriculture, education, the health, tourism, fisheries, you name it. The APRC government did a lot for this country, empowering youths and women. So we feel as a party, we don't turn our backs, but we should keep fighting for love of country. That's one of the key factors why we said, hey, we're not going to allow this party to die. Despite the intimidations, despite the threats, despite, all the odds against us, we're going to stand our ground and to steer the affairs of these parties. And kudos to the leadership. When there was nothing, when they were going around trying to give position to people, they said, please just excuse us, we cannot for now. They believed in themselves, stood for this party up to today. But today, we have achieved success. That's why many people want to be part of the leadership, want to join the party. Some are even fighting for position, saying you people should allow us to join the executive. But yesterday is the same people who were silent and nowhere to be found. But today everybody wants to come and join the party because of the successes we have achieved.
So recently in your just concluded Congress, you voted in former President Jammeh as your flag bearer. Is this a testimony that he is still loved by the APRC militia, combination of some of the revelations that are coming out from the VRRC that actually are very much negative towards the APRC party?
We are, let me rectify that, we're yet to select a flag bearer. We select the leadership. He's still the Supreme Party leader. Like what we had in the 2018 Congress has not changed. Just slight changes, and those changes are additional. Like we've added new portfolios and new people being brought to the executive to support the executive in executing their functions. But flag bearer, we haven't chosen it for now. The reasons are very simple. We never went into Congress to choose a flag bearer. As far as the APRC is concerned, we're no strangers in the political arena. Most people, they select their flag bearer at the earliest possible time so that they can sell the ideals of their party and sell that individual. APRC, anybody we can market, anybody we sell, people are going to buy, because we're not new. We've done a lot in this country. That's why even our slogan, we say back to State House, not road to State House. We're saying back to State House. We've been there before and we want to be there again. Even 1 month before election, any candidate we put up, like for instance, we want to make Yaya Jammeh a flag bearer 1 month to elections. He's known by the whole world. We don't need to advertise or to sell him to the public.
Would that be feasible, actually, cognizant of the fact that we do not have much time, actually, towards the December 26, 2021 elections?
As far as flag bearership is concerned, for us APRC, we have time. Anybody we put up as a candidate, you don't need a lot of months for us to sell you out. Anybody we put up.
So
we have our own tactics and strategy how we sell our candidates.
So can you actually reveal to us actually some of the prospective candidates that you want to put in place? Because a lot of people out there are skeptical as to who APRC actually is going to put forward.
It's for the people to decide, and as we speak, we only have one person who applied for flag bearership, and he is in the diaspora. I don't want to mention his name. He has written to the party showing interest, wanting to be flag bearer. Only one. And nobody within the executive have ever come forward and said, I want to be. Says he wants to be flag bearer. Anybody that contests with him, you're going to lose, because the people still love him. The people still show their support, to the former president, His Excellency President Yaya Jammeh. So I believe if he wants it, I don't see anybody else who can compete him. It is for the people to decide, not the executive, not anybody, but those who own the party.
Well, I think we'll have to take a short commercial break and we will come back, because this is becoming interesting. So stay tuned as we get to the next point, where the APRC would actually give us who they have in mind. Yeah, welcome back after that short break. We are going to continue from where we stopped, because it was an interesting point that Mr. Duduja actually said that if Jammeh actually comes back today and wants to contest for the 2021 election, the rest is so. He is speaking confidently that he's going to win. He's going to beat Adam Barrow. Now, my question to that would be, how too sure are you that the IEC is going to accept his candidature if he decides to run as the party flag bearer for the 2021 elections?
The IEC are not lawmakers. They only make recommendations, what type of laws they want. The parliamentarians are lawmakers. Even the judiciary, they don't make laws. They only interpret the law. That would... Before I answer your question, I want to just touch onto the BB Dabo case versus the state, which was taken to the Supreme Court, who made a ruling that those in the diaspora are eligible, to vote and to be voted for. That's the interpretation of the law. Most people have said now all those are open. Jammeh can come back, he can contest and all that. IEC are not lawmakers. It must go to Parliament for them to enact it and make it a law. So let people not confuse the two. Whatever the Supreme Court interprets, that's a law. That is not the case. They are not lawmakers. The IEC will nominate and register people by the laws of the land. Whatever the law provides, if you fulfill the criteria, they have no choice, no other option but to accept your candidature.
But would it be feasible actually that his candidature will be accepted following a lot of revelations at the TRRC from 2018 to date?
Yes, the TRRC, again, it's not a court of law.
And we also have some parliamentarians in the National Assembly who, in one way or the other, are said to be victims of jamming.
Yes, like the TRRC is not a court of law. Gambians should be cautious of that. They are into a fact-finding missions for them to get the truth out of what transpired, from 94 to 2016, as they have claimed. And they can only make recommendations and write a report of what they have collected. And it is for government to act on the report and recommendation of the TRRC, whereby people can challenge it in the courts. It is the courts that will make rulings by the laws of the land. And what people are doing, most of it is narrations. This one said this, this one says that. There are a lot of contradictions in the TRRC. We will have to await for their report. Somebody comes and says it's white, another one says it's black. Now, who do I believe? It is the TRRC to say, okay, it is white. Then the person who believes in black will challenge it in the court, and you provide evidences. And evidence is court is not only verbal. If you said somebody stole money, how do you know? No, he just stole it. You don't have a case. So you need to provide evidences. This is why we saw quite a number of them. They came to the TRRC and denied everything they were alleged. If you look at the cases of the NIA officers, they accused them for torture. They said, I never tortured anybody. Where will you get the evidence that they did? That's what you need at the court. You must prove that they tortured people, not for somebody to come and raise their hand and say, I was tortured. So people must be cautious of that. That's the job of the TRRC. People can make revelations, and lawyers can fight cases based on the testimonies of the witnesses at the TRRC. Because what this one says, somebody comes and says something different, contradicting what they said. Now, what would prove that it is right is about the evidences. So, for me, I am not scared about TRRC. We had many commissions before, the China Commission, what it dictates. And let people not forget, a former head of state is different from other people, how they are judged and how the law acquits them or how the law puts them in line. For the former president or any former president to be tried, you must take it to parliament, where you must give your reasons and have overwhelming majority of 2/3 must approve that such a president should be prosecuted, etc. So that rests in the hands of parliamentarians.
Would time actually permit him to undergo all this? Because a lot of the time there is speculations that he might come back to the country very soon. At least, and let me say, an assertion that is yet to be asserted by a lot of people, including the APRC militant.
Yes, for us, we don't have any document or concrete proof about him coming very soon. We believe he will come because there are no laws in this country that can prevent him or any citizen from coming back. If force is used, that is force, but the laws remain as the law of the land, and what governs all of us. So it is our belief he will come. How soon? It rests with the former president, His Excellency Ajame, because nobody can force him to come, and when he wants to come, nobody can force him not to. So the ball is in his court when he is coming. We believe in the law. We believe in whatever has to set things right, whatever procedure is put in place. So if he wants to come before election to contest, there are a lot of procedures they will have to go by. Taking into account when the TRRC concludes, they will take about 6 months, to write their reports, etc. And the more it drags, we're getting closer to election, more time you will give them. Because unless their report comes, unless the recommendations are out, it goes to cabinet, they will also take time to look into that. Possibly that will be after elections. So, yeah, this is
people capitalizing on that to actually bring in Jammeh.
No, not capitalize. Like I say, the law or the constitution is the supreme law of the land, and that is above everybody else, not the Supreme Court or anybody. Like I said, the Supreme Court interprets the law, but what they interpret does not make it a law. It's parliamentarians, it's the legislature, the legislative that makes law, not the judiciary, not cabinet, not anybody else. For them, they can recommend and pass bills, but it is Parliament that can enact laws.
So that takes us to the draft bill that actually you rejected. Can you actually take us to some of the points that you felt like, as a party, you have to reject the constitution that was termed as, you know, a participatory constitution that, if brought in play, would have safeguarded a lot of Gambian people, or would satisfy the wishes of Gambian people?
I am part of the IPC, that is the Inter-Party Committee. I represent the APRC there, where you have all political parties, registered political parties in this country, where we converge and discuss ideas. And 99% of workshop, I attended it, from validation workshops, etc. I was there. From the proposed draft that was first shared, we have a lot of areas we pinpoint that need to, you know, be improved or adjusted. And as a party, we wrote a position paper that we submitted, and others did. So during those times and workshops, I personally have been telling them that the way and manner they're pushing this draft constitution, it would be very difficult for Gambians to accept it. At some point in time, I recall one workshop we had at IRI, International Republican Institute. A lot of points we raised before the draft came out, the proposed draft was not captured. And I raised that concern, that as political parties, we're major stakeholders. And most of the issues we're looking into, it's not captured, it's not featured. You know, but the response I got was, it's not only groups, their ideas that have been captured, but individuals as well. And I told them, when the time comes to vote for yes, then go to these individuals to say yes. Some of what we agreed as political parties was the issue of naturalization. It's like you must be resident for 15 years without having crimes, etc., in order to naturalize. We said reduce it to 5 years. The issue of citizenship, we proposed and suggested that whoever is born in this country can be a citizen. Those who are saying no, they're taking their wives to deliver in America and other countries to get citizenship. These are part of the recommendations we made, but most of this is ignored. Now, the final draft came. I will pinpoint certain issues that are of national concern. They want to minimize the power of the president, to make sure that he will not have a lot of powers. But the way this draft was, the constitution was drafted, for me, they wanted it to fail, because certain content issues, you cannot put that in a constitution. So it should be a representation of the people. But look at the constitution now. They said it's a fight between Honorable Usainu Dabo and His Excellency President Adam Barrow. Is that the wish of the people, or loggerheads of two politicians?
So we will cut it there, and we will get back. We'll have to take a short break, and we'll come back, because this is becoming interesting, and we can let it go off like that, because you are talking of two people that actually were working together at some point, had to break up. So watch out, please. Do not stay off. Stay tuned. We're getting back, because it's becoming interesting, and we are getting to the climax of this. Yeah, welcome back after that short break. We're back as usual with Honorable Duduja, the Deputy Spokesperson for APRC, to discuss actually what APRC has for the Gambian people ahead of the December 2021 election. We believe that this year is going to be a tough year, and then as a media practitioner, we have a role to play in educating and informing the Gambian people out there, so that they can also make the right choice. Because the previous years, it's maybe a one-sided election where APRC actually wins landslide. There is no question mark over who wins. But this year, well, it's a different one. And we have the APRC here, so let's see actually what they have for us. Mr. Ja, welcome back. You were actually telling us that the draft constitution, a lot of people thought that it's a fight between Barrow and Usainu Dabo. These are father and son, we can also say, or father and godfather. Yeah,
it's way beyond that. Let me give you an example. Don't only limit it to politicians. Like the Christian Council, they had a presser where they highlighted their concerns in one of the workshops we have. They're still holding on to that. Like, unless their needs and concerns are addressed, they're not supporting this draft constitution. The Supreme Islamic Council, likewise. You know, everybody has a concern in what is happening. But if you want to reduce the powers of the president, who do you give it to? Example, the draft constitution says the IGP, Inspector General of Police, should be independent from the president. For me, that's not sensible. I as the president, appoints the IGP, and he has to be independent. Then I'll put my brother there so that he will serve my interests. Let's say, okay, even my brother happens to defy me. Being the president, you're the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The army is more powerful than the police. Then I will use the army to suppress the police. Where is that power being taken, and who is it giving to? Again, the draft constitution is telling us the Secretary General, who is the head of the civil service, has to be independent from the president. Hello? The civil servant is another arm of the government that supports and stays the affairs of that sitting government. They have to be independent and goes against a sitting government or a president. You trying to set this country ablaze. It's not going to work. So such laws, when you try to frame that for the benefit of the elites on top, I cannot accept that as a Gambian. I want a law that will serve my interests and the interests of every Gambian. Not a law that people are pinning it to term limits, 10 years, 15 years. That's all defined in the Constitution, reduced to borrow and double. What is 10 years and 5 years? For me, people said we must apply the term limit. I said the biggest of democracies don't have term limit. England don't have a term limit. Spain doesn't have a term limit. Israel has no term limit. You keep counting all these big democracies, there are no term limits. Let the people decide the term limit. If you don't want people to stay long in office, I said give them 5 years. What can they deliver? If they fail, let them go, somebody else takes over. Why even 10 years when you don't want people to stay long? So it's not about how many years a president serves, it's about delivering to the masses who elected you into office.
Yeah, I can remember in one of your press conferences when one of the points that you people rejected was where the justice or the judges actually has a particular pay after their retires. So you also made emphasis as, are they better than farmers? Are they better than...
It's not fair at all. Why judges feel so special? Example, I am employed as a judge. They pay me 100,000 every month. Even when I go into retirement, I continue to benefit from that 100,000. And all the sectors are not benefiting from that. And again, the president cannot dismiss judges. You can appoint, you cannot dismiss. You know, all these are laws that are not going to create a sustainable peace in this country. We should be honest to ourselves. Is it that those that have drafted the constitution, most of whom are lawyers, they will finally end up to be judges and they will enjoy these benefits? When the police, the army, like the security sector, the nurses, the teachers, you know, the civil servants, work more than they do. They're suffering more than that they do. For me, that's definitely not fair. You don't draft a constitution and put your own benefits. That's why I said it is crafted for the elites, but the people down, they've been ignored. But again, they're telling us that's the will, the wish of the people. For me, wish of some people, but other people are still against it.
So we've seen that a lot of parties of recent are actually going out to meet the people, to get to talk to them. These are all preparation just towards the December presidential election. Tell us, how are you as a party actually trying to finance, or how will you finance your 2021 presidential campaign? Combination of the fact that you do not have the funds, you do not have the accounts to fund your campaign, because we know politics is very, very expensive and requires a lot of amount. If you are saying that you still have, who is the brain behind your sponsors?
You see more fundraising activities as we speak. We're having a rally on Saturday, women's rally, and you don't organize rallies nothing less than $500,000 minimum you'll spend 500,000 to organize a rally. And all our rallies have been successful. Very shortly, our region in KM, like KM region, are doing fundraising to raise about 1 million to buy motorbikes and a vehicle for their region. And other regions are going to emulate that. All we do is we sell tickets to our people at $100 each. You know, and when we do that, we have a certain number that we target. Then the funds are there, we execute it for the party. We don't have it lying down, but it is with our people. All we do is organize fundraising and they give it to the party that we execute. So the funds is definitely not available lying down, but it is in the pockets of the APRC membership. And that's what we're tapping to make sure the funds are there to finance our activities. We just recently conducted a congress, one of the best organized congress in this country. People were asking us, was it a rally or a congress? Yes. That's APRC for you. They don't take anything lightly. Whatever you organize, they come out in large numbers. Sometimes even the numbers that show up surprises us when we don't expect that they will show up. But it's the might of the party that nobody must undermine.
Okay. Now, you made mention of not actually having the funds to support your campaigns for now. Are you going to be open to coalition? Because at some point there were rumors going around that the APRC is actually going to go in coalition with the incumbent President Barrow.
We're not ruling out any coalition, but we're not saying it's going to be NPP. It could be any party if we're going into coalition. It's politics. If we say no coalition, we close our doors. What happens when the other political parties make a coalition together? Then we stand no chance of winning. So we're playing along. Whatever would make us to be victorious is about interests of this country and our party and our supporters as well. So we're not closing our doors to any coalition, but we're not saying it's NPP. It could be any party. Okay. It depends what our needs are for the country and for the interests of all. If we can synchronize it, we're going to work with any party. And as we speak, we have a lot of parties that are approaching us, showing interest that they want to work with us.
Do you actually mind sharing some of these parties that you feel like they are approaching you for a coalition, and why are they actually approaching you for coalition?
No concrete agreement yet, but it's about 4 or 5 political parties that have shown interest. For the fact that we haven't make or reach any agreements with them, I wouldn't want to mention their names. If you see previously, we always talk about NPP. They're the ones who go out there and say, we and APRC will do a merger, NPP and APRC this. So when we come to clarify, we'll mention NPP. But the rest assured, we have 4 to 5 political parties that are approaching the APRC, showing interest that we have to work. Are we going to do coalition with those 4 or 5 parties? I cannot tell. It's for the party leadership to decide. Are we going to pick a few, or do we still add more onto us? That's why I said, let people not undermine the APRC. We have what it takes to become the next government.
So what are your, my last question is, what are your chances of actually winning or getting, a say in the 2021 election?
We have 65% chance of forming the next government, and we have 75% chance of being part of the next government. That's why I said we're going to be kingmakers. We either form the government of the day, or we will be part of the next government coming. This is why we say back to State House. We're not joking. We're going back to State House.
Even after the revelation and all the paintings behind the APRC that has put a lot of detest in the minds of the Gambian people?
Let me clarify this point. The APRC is not painted. It's the leadership that is the former president. As a party...
But the leadership actually represents APRC, and up to date, they still remain loyal to him, actually.
Yes, the leadership in government and the leadership as a party, these are 2 different entities. Like I have said it, the people who were in APRC, they feel like what they did was not law-abiding. I said, come to the party today. From the Right Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta to the last person, if you find any one of them wanting party laws, arrest them and take them. Let them face the full force of the law. But when you come to APRC, you will find it. So those who were in government and committed those atrocities, I said, go after them. Not the party. Like I, for one, what crime have I committed in this country? I am APRC. I haven't wronged anybody. So why should you blame what Mr. X did? You have to blame Durija for it when I never did that.
So
it's a party, people can join, people can leave, but as of today, us as a party, we have not flouted any laws.
So what's your last take in 30 seconds actually?
To tell Gambians, let's take ownership of our country. This country belongs to all. Barrow is the leader, the president, he doesn't own it. Let's love one another. And I am advocating for the national anthem to be practicalized. That unity, that brotherhood, you know, walk, we pray. Let's practicalize this. We're one and the same. Let's stop the install, the propaganda, the castigating. Politics shouldn't create enmity in our midst. We're one family, one Gambia. Let's advocate for that.
Thank you so much. Politics shouldn't create that enmity between us. That was his last take for the program. Stay tuned as we come next. The next debate will be very, very interesting because we are not going to get him only to be talking, but we're going to get somebody else to actually become. So thank you so much. That was all that we have for you. Stay connected all the time. And Mr. Jah, thank you so much once again for
always a pleasure.
Showing up.